Today we will be analyzing the organizational structure of FSU Company and focusing on one of the 8 dimensions set out by Fortune magazine to rank the most admirable companies each year. We will take that one dimension and focus on it and discuss how we would change that dimension and improve the company's overall structure. Fortune magazine's 8 dimensions for the most admirable organizations are as follows: innovativeness, quality of management, people management, long-term investment value, financial soundness, wise use of corporate assets, social responsibility, community and environment, quality products and services. Out of the 8 elements, people management is what I've selected as where FSU needs the most improvement for the following reasons. An employee satisfaction survey showed that only 20% of employees are satisfied with their jobs. Status of the job reviews refers to the fact that employees are only reviewed by their superiors. There is no employee review of their superiors so that the upper management would know whether what their visions and design in the structure is actually working and what being implemented by lower levels. Measurement of performance. Measurements of performance are still very old school performance guidelines, pretty much numbers created by upper management and corporate level, and then pushed down without any feedback from employees or lower level managers. Conflicting culture and ethics. The culture that the company provides is not being implemented by managers in the middle and lower levels, and part of this problem is because employees below them cannot review their superiors, and the upper management doesn't know that it's not being employed down below. And employee retention. A lot of turnover in FSU, and better people management would limit that. Ramifications of low morale and poor people management are as follows: low employee performance, low buy-in to the company's belief and organizational culture, unhappy employees, unhappy customers, low innovation, and high turnover. The effects of organizational structure and design on the culture. First, let's define organizational structure. Organizational structure is the core of what coordinates, controls, and motivates employees to cooperate toward and attain the organizational goals. Organizational design is the process of selecting and managing aspects of the organizational structure and culture to enable the organization to achieve its goals. The organizational culture is a system of shared values, norms, and assumptions that guide members' attitudes and behaviors. All three need to align and be implemented and executed properly to achieve the organizational goals. When we look at an organizational structure, first we need to look at the characteristics of the organization. First, we have division of labor, which defines the roles for each position. Then we have span of control, which defines how many direct reports a manager has. Hierarchy, this is basically just your chain of command. Formalization, rules set out for employees and their actions. And centralization, how much decision making is centralized to certain management. And then we also look at mechanistic versus organic in the structure. You also need to discuss determinants of organizational structure and why certain organizations are structured in certain ways. First of all, strategy can affect the organizational structure, what the business strategy is. Also, in external environments. So a rapidly changing environment needs a more flexible organization. Talent. The more higher talent you have, the more flexible a company be, and the more less centralized decision making can be. The size of the organization. The larger the organization usually means more hierarchy, less flexible, and even possibly more conflict. Behavioral expectations also affect the organizational structure. And the more structure you have helps define people's behavior more. Technology. Higher technology, usually more flexible. Lower technology, more centralized control. And organizational change will also affect how a structure is formed. The structural change that we will focus on to help FSU the most to address its employee satisfaction issues would be to transition from a more mechanistic structure to a more organic structure. So when you change from mechanistic to organic structure, first of all, let's define those two. Mechanistic structures are best for slow-moving environments. They have a traditional kind of bureaucracy, centralized power, and hierarchical communication, which means it's usually, a straight line of command. There's no jumping around levels in communication. So when we move to an organic structure, it's more flexible, decentralization of decision making, more open communication, and which results in higher job satisfaction, which is what we're looking for at FSU. As we look at moving FSU to a more organic structure, we also want to look at conscious culture and management and how FSU, at the top again, top management really wants to implement a conscious culture in the company, but it is not being implemented at lower levels. And as we discussed, a 360 job review where employees are reviewed by their superiors and then the employees review their superiors would help with this, to implement the culture they're looking for, because it just isn't moving from the top down. So basically, conscious leadership, we'll just go through it real quickly here, is leading by example, having clear communication, honest and open communication, and equality, which means no matter what level of the company you're at, you're considered equal. Conscious culture also takes in consideration all shareholders, monetary shareholders, social shareholders, the community, and employees. And this is where we're trying to work on, improving employee satisfaction in the environment. Conscious culture also is very empathetic and caring toward all the stakeholders, and then it implements a higher purpose, which can include helping the environment and their culture and the local community, and improving lives, and that would include employees' lives. So to implement this change, we're going to use Kotter's 8-step change model, and these steps will include creating a sense of urgency, build a guiding coalition, form a strategic vision and initiatives, enlist a volunteer army, enable action by removing barriers, generate short-term wins, sustain acceleration, and initiate and keep the change that we've implemented going. So now we'll go through each one of those steps and how we will implement those. Step 1 is create a sense of urgency. This will easily be done since we have very low employee satisfaction and higher than normal turnover. We need to fix this, or we could continue to struggle to keep employees and have them perform at their highest levels. So the urgency is there. Management knows that we need to change something, and change something soon. Step 2 would be to build a guiding team. All management needs to be trained, brought in, and monitored to make sure they are practicing best practices and are implementing the new organic organizational structure and promoting openness and innovation. And this will be helped by the new 360 job reviews. Step 3 would be to form a strategic vision and initiatives. And fortunately for FSU, the company at the corporate level already has this in place, with corporate visions including straight talk, customers first, inclusiveness, employee work-home life balance, family first initiatives. They just are not being implemented at all levels, and the 360 job interviews will make sure that it is being implemented at all levels. Communicate for buy-in is step 4. Basically get a volunteer army, and that would be management, and all levels of employees need to be encouraged and rewarded for actions that match our new organic organizational structure. Step 5 will be to enable actions by removing barriers. We will implement open communication initiatives and 360-degree review policy. By having employees review their managers without repercussions, will ensure 100% compliance to the new organizational structures. Step 6, generate short-term wins. We'll highlight right behaviors and outcomes with recognition and rewards. We'll make initial steps to change easy to accomplish and achieve, and then we will build on those. Step 7, sustaining acceleration. We will continue to encourage and reinforce relentlessly the new vision and change and highlight how it is helping everyone, the company, the employees, and our customers. And then finally, step 8, make the change stick. Continue after acceptance to show and reinforce the connection between the new behaviors and our success. So as expected, there will be some challenges in implementing the new change. As far as organizational challenges, group inertia will probably be the biggest one. Some managers will be reluctant to change their management style to a more open and different style of management. On the personal side, old habits of management and how you do your job are difficult to change sometimes, and we will definitely be changing that. Fear of the unknown. All change brings an unknown piece to the future and how things will work. People have a different level of ability to handle change, and the unknown is the results of it. I think my main takeaways from this lesson are that making changes in an organization is very complex. It can't just be, hey, we're going to do this. It takes, empowering people at all levels, showing people that change is beneficial to them is so important, and that, everybody along all the levels needs to be empowered and listened to, or it just doesn't work. You can't just put slogans up on a wall, or have a meeting about it. It really needs to be focused on and continually monitored. I also believe that Cotter's 8 steps of change are used all around us to influence our behaviors, whether it's by our government or companies or um, businesses that want our business. So, to change our ways of thinking, looking at things, and other things like that. These are the references I used in this presentation. Thank you.